No out and about video today, unfortunately. Well, I'll say unfortunately. It's not exactly the end of the world. It's needs must on the allotment. What with work and the poor weather, well, I'll say the poor weather, it's not been too bad, but the nights have been very cold, which has held a lot of things off. I need to be here today, at the end of the day. Got a lot of things to do, so Twinkle's at home. Before I start any work, just quickly show Chris, Helen, Amy, Brad, Molly, Annie. There's your nectarine tree in full bloom, full flower. Now potentially every single one of those blossoms could turn into a nectarine. However, it's a very young plant, and for the sake of the plant, I would suggest that if and as any little fruits form, you just pick 2 or 3 to keep. Take all the rest off when they're very young and just let it concentrate on 2 or 3 in its first year. You'd be best off, to be honest, not letting it produce any fruit at all. But I know you're not going to do that. I've got so much to do today. Good job I enjoy it. Right, I just made a purchase at the farm shop. I've wanted one for a long time. A steel chicken drinker. Now you can see how extortionately priced it was, but I'm hoping that's the last one I'll ever have to buy. These plastic ones that I've been using for years, they're all right. I just don't trust them, because being out in the sun, of course the ultraviolet degrades the plastic, and if they freeze in the winter they can just fall to pieces. And this one's a couple of years old now, so it's getting a bit fragile, and what I don't want is it to start leaking on a hot day in the middle of summer and leave them without water. Even these things cost 15 quid each, and you're lucky to get 18 months out of it. So hopefully, spending nearly 50 quid on that wasn't such a bad move. I'm going to, the galvanisation process, or at least some galvanisation processes, involve cyanide, or they produce cyanide. So I'm going to give that a good scrub. Which way? That's it, that way. I'm going to give that a good scrub before I let them use it, but I'll make that one of my first jobs on the list for today. Hey Shirley. Brian and Aria, how you doing? It's been a pretty good year for vermin so far this year. Normally, by this time of year, I'm catching a few rats, but nothing so far this year. I've got the 2 live traps set up in there, and these boxes have both got snap traps in them. I've explained all this before in a separate video about rat control on allotment. But basically these 2 boxes have got snap traps in them, and they're designed so that hedgehogs, chickens, little birds aren't actually going to go in there. But to a rat, that's very tempting. So A-OK so far on the rat front. And the other source of vermin, oh, he's just started up his flipping rotavator. Never mind. The other source of vermin, which is usually a problem at this time of year, is the pigeons coming and eating all the little shoots off of me plum tree. But no signs of that this year. It's all looking good. No signs of it at all. Now, on previous years, I think what was bringing the pigeons over and causing problems was Alan did have 2 enormous cherry trees there. He's cut them right back because the trees were so big he couldn't actually get to the upper branches to keep the pigeons off or harvest any fruit that he would have had he been able to keep the pigeons off. So as you can see, he's done the right thing, and he's trimmed them right back. He's pruned them right back. Now obviously he's not going to get any fruit this year, but in subsequent years obviously he's going to be able to net over that and protect his cherries from the pigeons, which he wasn't able to do when the trees were massive. So I reckon actually it was those two trees which were bringing the pigeons in, and while they were at it, they were looking at mine and going, all right, have some of that as well. It's a bit of a shame in a way, because they were sitting ducks in that tree, if you know what I mean, and I do love a bit of pigeon breast in the spring. We might get them yet. They also go for me peas. Now that's something I really need to get on top of. I'm behind. I've normally got my peas off well early, and I've not done it this year. This is where the peas are going to live, along all of this netting. Wire mesh. Now that is where I bagged myself a couple of pigeon lunches last year. So maybe once I get those in, it might bring the little bleeders along. Okay then, let's see if this 50 quid chicken drinker can earn its keep. See you later. There we go. Well, I just gave it a good scrub down to get rid of all the nasty chemicals and whatnot that might be on it. It is really well made. It is seriously strong. My only slight concern is that all of the solder is probably lead. Would Sir prefer the eggs Benedict, or would Sir prefer the eggs what has got lead? I do deliberately acidify the water that I give to the chickens. I'll use apple cider vinegar. A bottle like that lasts me about 5 months. It's a £5 a bottle, so it's not a lot to spend. But what that does, by acidifying the water, it makes their stomach conditions unsuitable for worms and parasites. So rather than having to treat your chickens periodically with nasty chemicals to get rid of any stomach parasites, the alternative is just to put apple cider vinegar in their water, and it does the trick. I've never ever had a problem with parasites on my chickens. Hopefully the acidity level isn't going to cause a problem with the steel. The steel is obviously galvanised. That will help, and I think, bearing in mind that the water around here is just about the most alkaline, chalky water anywhere in the world, it's probably not that acidic anyway. Should be alright. Although we've had some pretty cold nights, touching on a frost, not really frosty, but touching on a frost, the blossom on that pear tree has really held up well, and that's a good sign, because pear blossom, although it's an early blossom, pears can be a bit hit and miss, because it blossoms early in the period where you're going to get some late frosts. And although we've had some, mild frosts, the blossom is still there, which says to me, slightly annoyingly, that I could probably have got my potatoes out a bit earlier, and they would have been fine. But anyway, better safe than sorry. It would have been much. The alternative, it would have been much worse. The alternative would have been that I got my potatoes out too early, the frost finished off the shoots, and you're back to square one. It won't finish your potatoes, you've just got to start all over. Wait another few weeks to make new shoots. So that's all ready now. All fertilised. I've done the usual. I've put down a load of bloodfish and bone, a load of 6X chicken manure pellets, and then a layer of cardboard, a layer of newspaper, and a layer of straw. And also, on this particular bed here, I've just dug out last year's pink fir apple potato container. There was a ton of rotted down manure in that. I don't want to grow potatoes in the same compost 2 years on the trot, so I emptied it all onto there before I covered it all up. So that is now all ready. All of that you can see is ready for potatoes, it's ready for sweet corn, ready for pumpkins, sorry not pumpkins, butternut squash, and Japanese squash, ushikikuri, which I'm going to be sowing soon, because I'm off home soon. That needs to be done. I was going to get my potatoes actually in, but I'm going to wait for another day, because I'm starting to ache a bit. But here you go, just to show you what you're looking for. Once you've chitted your potatoes, come on, focus on there please. Hello, hello, focus. Oh, for Christ's sake, come on. I think that's the best you're going to get. You can see those little chits forming there. What I'm going to do probably tomorrow afternoon is just pull back the straw, sit those underneath and cover them back up, and that's my potatoes started. A few little bits of asparagus coming through. I'll tell you what, these early little shoots, they are proper rich pickings. These are lovely. You don't get a lot. Raw asparagus shoots. Oh, the mutt's nuts. Lovely. And I've chucked an extra layer of mulch on my onions, my garlic, my shallots. An extra layer just to keep the moisture in once the heat of summer arrives, and keep the weeds down. Very cheap, biodegradable, all adds to the soil in the long run. Here's the garlic, look, that's all onions. This is the garlic up the left hand side of the bed. That's looking really good. Looking really healthy. I'll have some lovely garlic again this year. And also the onions over here. Put a mulch of pine shavings over all of those. Again, moisture in, weeds down. It's all very beneficial. I made that flipping sparrow box about 10 years ago, and I've never used it. I'm going to have to put it up at some point. I've got a load of broad beans here, which I put in pots back in the winter with the intention of sticking out weeks ago. Didn't happen. And to be honest, I forgot they were here. I do like broad beans, but I do still have quite a lot in the freezer from previous years. They store well. Don't really need to grow them. I think what I might do, I'll just find a little corner somewhere and throw them in. I'm not going to make much effort. I'm just going to throw them in and see what I get. As you can see, they're already flowering. They're already blossoming. There's beans on the way. No point wasting them just because I've forgotten about them. I'll stick them in the ground somewhere. And I'm not going to, I'm not going to hang on for miracles, but whatever we get, we get. That'll be a nice little bonus. Nice bit of lichen growing on there now. That's been there 5 years. I'm going to call that a day for now, for today. I'm going to go home and do a bit of sowing, get my peas started, get my squashes started. My next job, my next job, actually get the potatoes in the ground. After that, I'm going to clear the tomato shelter. And all of the bathtubs up there that grow me carrots and parsnips in, they're all going to get emptied out. I'll spread the compost, the spent compost from last year. I'll spread that around the plot on all the beds, and we'll fill them up with some nice fresh stuff. I've got a fair bit. I'll pick up some more. Okay, sorry about the brief nature of that video. Sorry for the lack of walking, the lack of twinkle and the lack of local history, but needs must. The allotment is very important and I can't let it go to waste. Right, see you soon. Nearly forgot. Of course, all that straw laying around in a wet climate like the UK on your average English allotment does attract a lot of slugs. That is something which has to be dealt with. So, what you need is cheap beer, John Smith's, that's pretty cheap, and jam jars. I'm going to make some beer traps. I'm going to dot beer traps all around the perimeter and a couple in the middle, because there is no denying that is a downside of this method. You do get a lot of slugs. Whilst I don't like to waste good beer, John Smith's, they're welcome to it. Where is she? Where's Twinkle? There she is! There she is! I know, Twinkle, I'm sorry. I'm sorry we didn't have a Saturday walk. We'll have a little one. We'll have a little one and we'll go up Mentmore in a bit. Good girl.